And we're back. Welcome back to the Auto Authorities Podcast. My name is Jay, coming to you live. Hey, everybody. Who has ever bought a car for your teen? Raise your hand. Yeah, I think we all have. And if you haven't, you're definitely going to want to watch this episode because we're going to talk about the costly mistakes that parents make every single time that they go buy a car for your teen. Are you guys ready to do this? Let's go.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride while buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay, and this is the podcast to tell you what to watch out for, whether you are buying, selling, or repairing your car. With over 26 years of automotive experience, we are the Auto Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent.com. We're real estate agents for cars.
Boom, booyah. Welcome back to the Auto Authorities Podcast. My name is Jay, coming to you live. Before we get going, I want to thank our sponsor, iAutoAgent.com. That's iAutoAgent.com. Real estate agents for people's cars. They will sell your car. If you're here locally here in St. Louis, we work on a 40-mile radius that will sell your car at no cost to you. We'll market, we'll list, we'll show your car, and handle the money transaction. And you will never, ever have to meet a strange person in a strange place again or take Facebook messages that you don't want to respond to. If you are nationwide and you would like some help buying a car, we have a vehicle finder program. It doesn't matter where you live in the United States, we'll help you. Not only will we help you find the car, we'll vet the car to make sure you're getting a good car. We'll make sure you're getting a good deal, and we'll deal with all the communications for the dealer. And you literally just go in and pick up your car. How about that? We have a team of a lot of people here at iAutoAgent that are standing by wanting to help you. Just simply send us a message at iAutoAgent.com and click buy, or you can even find our vehicle finder program link and just let us know what you want. We'll help you out. Anyway, before we get going about this amazing topic, and this is a very important topic to talk about, if you are watching us live or you would like to watch us live, you just go to the Auto Authorities Podcast Facebook group page and click the Join Group button. We're live 12 p.m. Central Time, Tuesdays, and you can watch this pretty face live. How about that? Or if you just want to watch recorded, you can go to the Auto Authorities YouTube page. It's the Auto Authorities YouTube page. You simply click the subscribe in the right corner and the notifications button, and you'll be notified for all the podcasts. And if you're just driving to work and you would just like to listen to my voice, you can go to the AutoAuthorities.com. That's the AutoAuthorities.com. and listen to 19 different channels. You don't have to listen to all 19 of them at the same time, but you can go to iTunes and Pandora and Google Podcasts and all of those wonderful ones. We've been doing this live for 2 years now, every single week. So let's really get into what we're talking about today. I have parents literally contact our company every single week looking for that teenager car. And it's usually somebody that wants to spend under 10 grand, and usually it's between $2,000 to $5,000. And what's really scary about that is there are cars out there for that. Now, there's no guarantee they're going to run, but usually what I get a request is it's like, I want a reliable car for my teenager. It's their first car. They're going to beat it up. And I'm like, I get it, but do you really want to buy yourself a $2,000 to $5,000 car? Well, I'm going to give you step by step today on how to avoid making a costly mistake when you're doing it. So let's talk about step one. Let's talk about the type of cars that are out there. You've got Japanese cars, you've got Korean cars, you've got American cars, and you've got European cars. Now, there's a big difference between all of those. Now, when you get into Japanese cars, everybody wants a Toyota or Honda because it's, perceived to last for a long, long time, which they do. But you have to remember there's service departments at Honda and Toyota as well, because sometimes these cars don't last as long as you may think. So the next type is Korean cars. So we have Hyundais and Kias, and they have come a million miles from what they used to be. They're really, really good cars, but they've also had their issues as well. Then you have the good old American car, the Chevys, the Ford, the Dodge. And truly, they have their issues as well. And then you have your European cars like BMWs and Mercedes and Audis, and Volkswagen. Now, those are good cars too, but they've had their issues as well. Well, why am I telling you all this? Because it depends on the type of car you're looking for. So, if you're looking for a Japanese car, you're going to probably have lower costs if something breaks, versus a European car. It's going to be very expensive, and most of those parts are imported from foreign countries. So Honda and Toyota, those are pretty mainstream. Kia and Hyundai are pretty mainstream now too. And they'll be less expensive. And definitely, if you're looking at American car, they're going to be lesser expensive than a European car. So the one that's going to be the most expensive is going to be the European car. Now, the next step that I would recommend is, before you even look at a car, research the insurance rates, what it's going to be for your kid to drive. Give them a couple examples. You don't even have to like have a car picked out. Just say, I'm looking for potentially like a Toyota or Honda. What would my insurance be, on a 10-year-old car or a 15-year-old car? I mean, when you're looking in those price range, you're going to have a very, very old car. And then also look at maintenance costs. And there's a lot of, I mean, just simply doing a Google search for the car you're looking for, just type in maintenance costs and then the year, make, and model, and you're going to have a world of information. Because see, what you don't realize is there's price and there's cost. The price is what you pay for the vehicle. The cost is what it's really going to cost you. And most people never take that into account. They just go and like, oh, well, I can buy a $3,000 car and it's only gonna cost me $3,000. And that would be a naive thought if that's the case. That car is gonna cost you a lot more than $3,000. And I don't know anything 100%, but I'm about as close as my name being Jay that I'm right on that. Then step 2, financing. How are you going to pay for this car? Now, if you're looking for a really inexpensive car, like a $2,000 to $5,000 car, you may not even have any financing options on general financing. And what you may not know is that when you finance a car in that range and an older car, you are going to pay a higher interest rate. Why is that? It's because there's more risk involved when you're dealing with an older car for the banks, because the chances of something going wrong is a much higher than if you were to buy a newer car. And the fact is you're probably not going to get a very long term on that as well. So if you're lucky to find a financing institution that'll do a $2,000 to $5,000 loan, you might only get a 3-year loan. And when it comes to payments and cash flow, you may very well be able to get into a newer vehicle by taking a little bit longer term, keeping your payment down, your cash flow higher. That would be my recommendation. And if you buy a little bit more expensive car, newer, you're going to have a lower chance of something to break. So there's where we have that price and cost. Because when you have the price of what you pay and the cost of what you pay, those are two different things. So if you find something that is newer, that maybe has a better history to it, and I'm not saying lower miles either, because miles really don't mean a whole lot when it comes to buying a car. And I think if you listen to my podcast episode enough, I think I've drilled that into all of your heads. So let's talk about cash. Um, Many people buy the vehicles cash, and that's fine. You can do that. Um, but if that's the only amount of cash that you have, you may reconsider that because you have to figure out, like, what am I going to have to put into this car to keep it running? And also another little tip here for you, because a lot of people have they have kids and they're like, we're going to buy this car for you and then it'll be your car. There's a form in the state of Missouri, it's Form 768. You can actually gift the car to your son or daughter. Now, that's not saying you're not going to have to pay sales tax on it when you buy it, but you can actually gift that car to them where they're not going to have to repay any type of sales tax, which is pretty cool. And let's talk about another outside the box idea. Let's talk about the home equity line of credit. So, to pay for a car, you could use a home equity line of credit. It's not a bad option because you can take the equity in your home, which is just simply sitting there. You can pay interest only on this loan, and you can actually have a car and a loan that is potentially a lower interest rate than what you would pay on normal financing, and it is tax deductible as well. So you're going to usually, and don't quote me on this, you're going to be able to deduct between 15 to 30% of that interest rate. So if you're looking at, let's just say, a 9% interest rate, I'm just throwing out numbers here for you because I don't know exactly what the rates are going to be for the year of the vehicle, but you may net effectively only be paying 6%. And if you're looking at a 6% rate, you may only be paying 2%. So it's a really good idea to talk to your banker, and you can even reach out to iAutoAgent. We can connect you with some of our partners because I totally believe in home equity lines of credit for everything. So we talked about financing, we talked about cash, and we talked about home equity lines of credit. So we've gone through 2 steps. Let's go to the third step. We need to research the car. So now that we've done this, we know what we're looking for. We know insurance rates. We know how we're going to pay for it. Now let's research the car within our budget. And again, if we're looking for that $2,000 to $5,000 car, or even $6,000 car, be prepared because, and as we get into this episode, I'm going to hit really, really hard on how to vet the vehicle that you're looking at, because this is where tons and tons of scams happen every year. And if you listen to my last podcast, it is tax time right now, which means scam time. And so we have to be very, very careful. Now, parents, I want to give you some advice here. When it comes to safety ratings, there is a great website. It's nhtsa.gov. That's nhtsa.gov. You can look up safety ratings before you go out and buy this wonderful vehicle for your child that you love. And I will say this, and probably some of the kids might be upset at me for saying this, but every teen wants a Jeep Wrangler. Now, you're not going to find a Jeep Wrangler for $2,000 to $6,000 unless it's not running. But be careful of like convertibles. And you have to think about, and I'm just thinking as a parent here for you, when you put your kid in a convertible and God forbid they flip that vehicle, there's nothing to protect their head. And there's a lot of kids that want convertibles. Their friends are getting convertibles, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, this is your child who you love. Really, really look at those safety ratings. Look at it. Do they have, the steel roll cage and the side beams? And what's that rating? Is it a 5? Is it a 3? Is it less than a 3? Is it not rated? Really, really look at that, because if you have your kids go out and buy a vehicle or want to buy a vehicle, they're going to be looking for all these really cool things. And you also have to look at engine size and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about how to avoid costly mistakes when you're buying a car for your teen. We are getting people every single week contacting us looking for that teen car. And this is a great podcast to listen to because this is a step-by-step process that I'm giving you on how to avoid those costly mistakes. And really what I would love to is if you can make comments below and share this with everybody you possibly know, especially if they're looking for a car for their teen. I want to build build more awareness of the Auto Authorities podcast. That's why I sit here once a week for you. Believe me, I'm not getting rich over this. It's really truly to let you know, like, hey, let's do it. Let's do it the right way. Let's not just look at the internet. There's so many false things on the internet. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about the costly mistakes. Go to the YouTube page. If you want to like literally watch this recorded and click the notification button, you can watch us live on the Facebook group page of the Auto Authorities Podcast. Join our wonderful family. And then you can listen to us on iTunes, Pandora, any of the podcast pages by going theautoauthorities.com. That's theautoauthorities.com. And you can leave questions. So let's go to the next piece. And I really want to talk about when you're researching the vehicle, ask family and friends that own these vehicles. Go to the Facebook pages and type in the vehicle that you're looking for and look to see what people are saying. Go to forums. Go to forums on Facebook. Go to forums on the website. There are people out there that will tell you the things to watch out for these cars that you're looking at. And if you see a pattern, you should probably steer clear of buying that car. Those are some of my best pieces of advice. So now let's go to the fun part. Now, when you're getting online, and most people go to where? The Facebook Marketplace. They go where? Craigslist. They go to Auto Trader. The lower price cars are mostly going to be found on Facebook and Craigslist. Now, what do you do to avoid really getting taken advantage of? Well, let's talk about Facebook first. On Facebook, you can see the person that you're dealing with, which is good. Do this. See if they're selling other vehicles. If they're selling other vehicles, 9 times out of 10, they are a dealer posing as a private owner, and chances are they bought that car at a car auction. The car probably has problems, and they know that people are out looking for cars right now. They're willing just to sell the car, and guess what? There is not going to be any warranties with this car or anything. There is no such thing as a warranty for a car in that age range. So be very, very careful. The next piece is when you are looking at the ads, you can also tell if they're dealers. If you've been listening to my podcast, you will know this, but just in case you haven't, look on the back of the license plate and see if there's a dealer plate. Look to see if there's dealer stickers in the window. Look to see if there's a dealer key tag, like on the pictures. And look to see if there's dealer in the background. If there is, that's probably not a good sign, especially if they think they're posing as a private owner. And always read Google reviews. If you are going to a dealer and you know that this is a dealer, what are other people saying about these people? Is this one of these fly-by-night companies, or is this actually legitimate dealership that they do good job? There's some smaller dealers that I know, smaller dealers here in St. Louis. They do a great job. They take the time to look over the vehicles. That's not saying they're not going to break down on you. That's just saying that they're doing their due diligence. And they're making sure that they're doing everything on their end to provide you a good vehicle. So let's go to the real fun part, is the test drives. And I really want to hit on this because most people don't realize how important this is. And when you're finding these vehicles online, you better get these people on the phone. And I would not text with them. I would talk with them and ask them multiple questions about the vehicle before you test drive it. Ask them, why are they selling the vehicle? What is wrong with the vehicle? Take extra photos and show the imperfections of the vehicle. Can you send me a Carfax? All of these things. At least get the VIN and run a Carfax. If you I'm gonna open this up to anybody that is looking to buy a car. If you want a free Carfax, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna give you a free Carfax. It's a $40 value. You simply put in the description, actually send me a message. Go to the AutoAuthorities.com. That's the AutoAuthorities.com. I don't care where you live. Simply send us the VIN, send us a little bit about the car, and we'll send you a free Carfax. How about that? $40 to run a Carfax. How about that? So let's talk about test drives. Where do you test drive? Well, the first thing you do is you don't go meeting them at the, Quickie Mart. You don't go meeting them at Lowe's parking lot. You go to the police station. And you better bring somebody with you. And truly, you got to be really careful here because you don't know who you're dealing with, and be surprised. And you'll be really surprised that 9 times out of 10, these cars are not what you think they are. So when you get to the police station, take a picture of and I'm not kidding, take a picture of the person that you're taking a test drive with and take a picture of their license plate, send it to somebody you know, because you don't know who this person is. Now, if it's a dealership, that's a little bit different story. But if you're meeting with a private owner, protect yourself and do your due diligence. Not everybody's a nice person. Hence the reason why I am on the news quite often, because people make very bad decisions when they're going to buy the car. So now you're on the test drive, and most likely they're going to go with you. You're driving the car. Don't drive it 15, 20 miles an hour around a parking lot. Get that vehicle on the highway and hit that gas and listen for any type of weird noises that could be, rods knocking, which I know you may not know what that is. But when you get the car going, the car's going to tell you what is wrong. A lot of times tell you what's wrong with it. Hit those brakes. Is there pulsation when you're driving? Let go of the steering wheel. Is it going straight, or is it turning to the right or left? Now, keep in mind, every road, at least here in St. Louis, they're coned. So it's very possible it may move to the right or left a little bit, because that is completely normal. But those are the things that you're going to check for. I wouldn't be so worried about like cosmetic things. I would be worried about like, did this thing, as far as say the transmission shift, was there a pull? When you hit the gas, is it like clunk back? That's probably not a good sign if that's the case. Do you hear a lot of cabin noise inside of the vehicle while you're driving? There could be a leak in the window, could be a leak in the sunroof. Try every single electronic. I mean, try everything, including the radio, because that's where things are going to get really, really expensive for you. And as you're looking at the vehicle, look at the mileage that it has and look to see if there's any excess wear and tear on that vehicle, because that could be an indication, and not to scare you, but again, we do Carfaxes. It could have had its miles rolled back. And I will tell you this, if you've ever heard any of my podcasts, I talked about there is a tool that you can get on Amazon for under $100, and it literally can roll back the mileage on a car. So look at the brake and look and just see if the wear and tear goes hand in hand with the miles. If it's got 180,000 miles, it's going to have some wear and tear. If it's now, and again, we're talking about the $2,000 to $5,000 car, it's probably going to have 150, 180,000 miles, if not a couple 100,000 miles. But if you're looking for a car, let's say maybe in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, that would be a good indication to really look at the condition. Are there any foul smells coming from the car? And I'm not just talking about like oil and things like that, but maybe the car was in a flood. There's a lot of flood vehicles coming onto the market. So do you like smell musty smell? Um, do you smell antifreeze? So those are some things that you're really going to look at. So now that you're back from the test drive, what do you do? Should you should you do anything else? Should you buy the car right then and there? The answer is no, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But I want you to do one thing. When you get back from the test drive, I want you to look underneath the vehicle. If there is an oil leak, now it could have some seepage. It's very common to have oil leaks in this age of a car. But is this oil dropping on the ground? Is it? Just take a look underneath the vehicle. Bring a flashlight. Doesn't mean you have to crawl underneath it, but just take a look at it. And then, last but not least, look around the vehicle and see if it has VIN tags on it. If it has VIN tags on it, chances are it probably hasn't been wrecked. Look to see if the panels line up with the rest of the vehicle. When you close the door, does it have a really solid shut or does it not? And again, when you're looking at these lower price vehicles, you don't know. So, what is the final step? No, you do not buy the car yet. You let them know, hey, I really like your car. I'm interested in it, but I want to take it to my mechanic. It's called a pre-purchase inspection. If they do not allow you to take that car to a mechanic, you need to leave as quickly as possible. If they say yes, good. Go to the mechanic and have the mechanic look over the vehicle and just say, I'm willing to buy the vehicle as long as my mechanic gives it a good bill of health, and have that mechanic go over it as well. And what you have done now is you have had step by step that I have taught you today. I have taught you literally what you need to do to avoid a costly mistake. We started with the cost of ownership to make sure you know, like, what is this car going to be? What are the maintenance costs for the car? We talked about how to buy the car. Do you finance? Do you pay cash? Do you use a home equity line of credit? We also talked about researching the car and all the commonalities by going to forums and your family and your friends and looking that up. We talked about how to vet the making sure you're buying from a reputable dealer or private owner. We talked about test drives, how to properly test drive the vehicle and the things to look out for. And we talked about the pre-purchase inspection. It's a must that you need to do. I hope that you all have enjoyed this. Please leave your comments below. Please send this to your friends and family. I really think that this is valuable information that everybody should know. And it's up to you, my listeners, to share this. Leave a review for the Auto Authorities podcast. I would love that. I really appreciate everybody coming today. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.